On Dispatch tonight, your layout photos, the question of the week, a big shout out, and Mr. Just in Case will be joining us. All of that coming right up. You're watching Dispatch, the variety show for model railroaders. I'm Roy Smith. Thanks for joining me. As I said, we have your layout photos, the question of the week, and a big shout out coming up on the show. And Mr. Just in Case, the world's foremost authority on model railroading, will be joining us later in the show. I understand he's bringing a model railroad trivia quiz for us. So let's get started with your layout photos. You all posted a bunch of photos of your layouts in our Facebook group since the last edition of Dispatch, and here they are. After the show, I'd like you to go over to the Facebook group and post a photo of your layout there because we want to see what you're doing on your layout. I will put a link to the group down below. You will know you're at the right place when you see this photo at Echo Canyon on my layout. If you posted a photo but didn't see it, then be sure to watch for it on the next edition of Dispatch. Remember, it doesn't matter what scale you model in, and yes, you can post photos of your club's layout. Now, you may recall that in the last 3 episodes of Dispatch, I invited you to post photos of signature scenes from your layout in the Facebook group. In case you missed it, I described a signature scene as a location on your layout where you especially like to showcase your trains, a location that stands out for some reason, perhaps because of the scenery, or a location on your layout that you are especially proud of. Friends in the hobby can recognize a signature scene as coming from your layout because it is distinctly yours, much as your handwritten signature is distinctly yours. You will recall that I showed you this example of a signature scene from a friend's layout in Dispatch last week. And I invited you to guess whose layout it's from. Well, if you guessed that it's from Ian Christopher's N-Scale Lehigh River Subdivision, then you were right. And here's another example of a signature scene. This one, of course, is from Lee Weldon's layout. In fact, it was Lee who suggested the idea of posting signature scenes in our Facebook group. Well, as I said previously in Dispatch, I want to do a video on the topic of signature scenes, and perhaps I can do it for this coming Saturday. I would like to include as many of your signature scenes as I can in that video. So once again, I invite you to post a photo of such a scene on your layout in our Facebook group. But in your post, be sure to identify your photo as being a signature scene. And now it's time for our question of the week. And here's this week's question. In your opinion, what are the most important qualities of a good model railroad video? Here's what you said in response to this question. You said that good model railroad videos are both informative and entertaining, include narration so that you know what's going on in the video, narration that is clear, enthusiastic, and conversational. You said that good model railroad videos offer valuable tips and techniques that you can apply on your own layout. They teach new skills, they tell a story, and they prove that model railroading is tons of fun. You also said that good model railroad videos are fast-paced, they contain tutorials showing how you did it, they are shorter rather than longer, they cover fewer rather than many topics, and they show good, stable camera work and good audio with good lighting and good editing. And here's the kind of content that you prefer to see in model railroad videos. Layout construction, layout updates, how-tos, operations, layout tours, trains running smoothly during videos, the application of the prototype to model railroads, and a train room and layout that are not cluttered. I'd like to thank all of you who responded to this week's question. It's always a pleasure to share your responses here on Dispatch. When you respond to a question of the week, you are sharing the hobby with others. Now, we do have a question for the coming week, and here it is. What advice would you like to offer to a newcomer in the hobby? Post your responses to this question in the comments section down below. Then I will share your responses right here on Dispatch next week. Here again is the question for the coming week. What advice would you like to offer to a newcomer in the hobby? And now it's time for our big shout out. And our big shout out goes to Todd Triester and his awesome N-scale layout, the New York, Susquehanna, and Allegheny Railroad on Conrail's Pittsburgh Division. Todd's layout fills the basement of his beautiful home in a space measuring 35 by 38 feet. He models the area of central Pennsylvania stretching from Enola Yard near Harrisburg west to the city of Pittsburgh. His main yard at Enola is 52 feet long and holds 2,500 cars. Along with his awesome N-scale layout, Todd has been collecting N-scale rolling stock for more than 40 years. The walls of his basement are covered by 70 or so display cases filled with N-scale locomotives and cars. I don't remember how much stuff Todd told me he has in his display cases, but I think it's something like 1,400 locomotives and 16,000 cars altogether. And Todd himself? Well, he's an engineer for the Norfolk Southern. I have visited Todd's layout twice. My first visit in November 2017 left me speechless. Then I got to go back a second time in May of 2019. Naturally, I filmed Todd's layout during both visits. Let's go over and take a look at Todd's layout in one of the videos I filmed while visiting Todd. Let's begin our tour of Todd's layout here at the City of Pittsburgh. From here, we'll work our way around this immense layout. The layout is based on Conrail's Pittsburgh division, stretching from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to Enola Yard near Harrisburg. It fills the basement in Todd's beautiful home in a space measuring 35 feet by 38 feet. He began to build it in 2004. As you will see throughout this video, Todd's basement walls are covered by 70 or more display cases like these. Here I'm running Todd's big blow turbine pulling 119 loaded coal cars. Todd typically runs trains that are 100 to 200 cars long. Let's follow this train all the way around the layout. This is Enola Yard. The yard can hold the equivalent of 2,500 50-foot boxcars. Now, Todd doesn't have a YouTube channel of his own, but if you go to YouTube and do a search for Todd Triester, you will find a number of videos posted by friends in the hobby. And those videos include the two that I posted. I will put links to my two down below and on the end page of this video. As you might guess, they are two of the most popular videos on this channel. Now, Mr. Just In Case, the world's foremost authority on model railroading, will be joining us in just a moment. But before he does, let me invite you to go back and watch Dispatch 76 if you haven't seen it yet. It's called Model Railroaders Say the Nicest Things. In it, we take a look at your responses to the question, what is the nicest thing that anyone has ever said about your layout? I will put a link to it down below. Now, here is Mr. Just In Case. Justin, welcome. Good to be here. I understand you have brought a model railroad trivia quiz with you. Is that right? That's right. Well, please go ahead, share it with us. Okay, here it is. 5 easy model railroad questions in this here quiz. I just hope you all got some paper and pencils to write down your answers. I don't want to see anybody cheating now. You hear? Or copying answers off of other people either. All right, let's get started. Question number 1. What's the best way to power your layout? DC, DCC, or nuclear power? Well, any fool knows the correct answer to this here question is nuclear power. That way you can run your trains all day and all night till your layout blows up in your face and spreads nuclear fallout all over the Western Hemisphere. Next question. Question number 2. What's the greatest unsolved mystery of model railroading? Arduinos, amps, or volts? The answer's gotta be Arduinos, because nobody knows what they is nor what they're used for. I think they're used for sending some kind of secret codes or something on your layouts. Next, question number 3. What's the best gauge of wire for your layout? 12 gauge, 16 gauge, or 69 gauge? I don't know what they even put such dumb questions like this in the quiz for. Any moron knows bigger is better, so the correct answer's gotta be 69 gauge for sending more of them there Arduinos through your wires. Okay, question number 4. What's the best way to build your scenery? Extruded foam, sculpt mold, or bricks? Well, any dummy knows the answer to this question is bricks. You don't want your scenery to be falling down like a ton of bricks the first time you walk on it now, do you? You want your layout to be as strong as a brick outhouse, don't you? And the final question, the last one, question number 5. What's the best kind of track to use on your layout? Flex track, sectional track, or no track? Who makes this stuff up? The correct answer's got to be no track, because with that gun, I don't know. I lost track of why that's the best answer. Well, that's it. How'd you do?
Justin, I didn't get any of the questions right.
Well, you must have been cheating then. You better get yourself back to that there university and study something useful the next time. Something like model railroading.
Thanks, Justin. I guess you're right.
And the rest of you, if you got one or more answers right, then you're a frickin' genius.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Justin Case, the man with all the answers, a real model railroad genius. Good night, Justin. I want to remind you that there are hundreds of other videos for you to watch right here on this channel. I will put a link to my videos page down below. Go to it and browse around. Or you can watch these videos over here about my visits to Todd Triester's layout just by clicking on them. Well, I'd like to thank you for letting me share the world's greatest hobby with you here on Dispatch. I'm Roy Smith. Until next time, happy railroading.